meet on that beautiful shore. We used to sing that every Sunday. Every Sunday, Grandpa, he used to take us down to that. It was a Church of God, or the Assembly of Christ. We'd go there every Sunday, go to Sunday school, learn all about the Lord, the Bible, and everything. And it was something else. But look here, see, we're going to talk about that, talk about like religion, mainly like all those evangelicals and stuff. But check this out for a quick second here.
When millions of people just disappear, we were not abducted by aliens.
If at any point I am beamed up, do not think that aliens have
Yeah,
beamed
don't
me
think
up.
that.
I promise you, even if they show you an alien or a mothership or
Don't believe your
some
lying
kind of
eyes.
proof, I'm telling you now, we're with Jesus in heaven. We got raptured.
And y'all all gonna be believing in these
Y'all
aliens.
gonna be believing.
And we just gonna be up in heaven.
We're gonna be up in
praising
heaven
the good Lord.
praising
That's
the
what
Lord.
we're gonna be doing.
Oh yeah.
See,
Honestly, guys, I hate to laugh like that, but to me it's just kind of comical and everything. You know, the people going on about that stuff, and especially whenever I look at them, you know, like check this person out, you know, say, and you know what I'm saying. Like here, let me zoom in a little bit. Look at her face. All right, her ancestors were what? Middle Eastern or maybe Germanic, maybe, or Celtic or something like that, huh? Or like that next person. Here we go to that next person up. Like that person right there. What kind of ancestors do you think she probably had, huh? Do you think they were Jews? I don't know. Maybe they were. But the thing about it is that a lot of these people, you know, they talk all that stuff, but they don't really know who they are. Dig it? But it's not their fault or anything. They've been taught that's about Christianity and going to the evangelical church and all that all their life. Ever since they were little kids, that's what they were brought up in, just like me. And I'm lucky in a way because I somehow was able to get out of that kind of environment. You know, I was raised like in deep south of Florida, um, back in the backwaters and stuff. You know, so we went to all those kind of holy roller. That's what I call them, holy roller churches. And honest, I saw people, my brother and I, we sit in the back, and we saw people actually rolling on the floor, convulsing, you know, and people were like, you know, talking about how the devil's coming out of her and stuff. You know, it was, I swear, later in life, I looked at videos about like voodoo ceremonies and stuff. Hey there, Jesus is king. Okay, for you maybe. And you know what? I don't care, and I don't mind if somebody is a Christian or a Jew or a Muslim, because in my opinion, somebody could have like one God or 1,000 gods, but that don't make them any less of a human being to me, and it doesn't affect my life whatsoever, unless of course they try to push their philosophy onto me. Dig it? And that's what I think is being done a lot here in the United States. And I don't know, maybe in the United Kingdom, I don't know. Uh, yeah, you got to have some faith. But you know what I have faith in? I have faith in the ability of human beings to be compassionate, you know, to use logic and reason instead of just, you know, shutting themselves up in a closet and saying they talked to God and God told them something. It's better to just think about it, you know, and not go off these ancient traditions. But like getting back to like what these people are, what they really are, what they don't know that they are. Like all their life, ever since from the day they were born, they were taught, they were took to the Sunday school and taught about Christianity. And they were also told that they are a white person. All right. Now, the way I see it now, now that I've learned a little bit, um, what do I say? I know everything or something. Now I've learned a little bit. I know that my ancestors, way back in the ancient times, they were what they called the Picts. They lived like up in North Scotland area, up in the Highlands and stuff, right? They were Celtic people, and they were pagans. You know, they had druids and all that kind of stuff. They had their own religion that was developed for 10,000 years because first they lived in a place called Doggerland, and then all the ice, the glaciers started retreating, and that flooded out. So they moved up to England, and let's see, what's up, dirty. So they moved over to the England area and settled in up Scotland, right? So they are the Picts. Look it up, Pict. They were named that because, like the Greeks, that's a Greek thing, right? The Romans they took that and called them Picts because they painted their body up all blue and stuff. And they would held for hey, he's putting all these held for review comments on there now, dadgummit. Don't be doing that now. So yeah, so anyway, they had their own ancient customs. And then here along came Julius Caesar going over there. They're going to conquer all of England, and they're going to turn them into Romans. They're going to spread Roman civilization, right? So that's the colonialism, the ancient colonialism that happened. See, so they went up there and everywhere else, for that matter, and started like conquering everybody and enslaving people and fighting people and grabbing up all their stuff and taking it back to Rome, plus slaves and junk, all right? And trying to force everybody to like look at the emperors of Rome like Nero. Are you kidding? Look at them as if they are some kind of a god. And if they didn't, they'd be punished or even put to death. So that's what our people way back then were fighting against. And the Romans, they were so damn brutal that Alaric, a Goth, he came in there and kicked their ass. He like surrounded Rome, put them under siege for 2 years, and that was that was the end of that, because they went in after 2 years. They went in there and they didn't find any food. That's what they were looking for, but they found all kinds of other stuff, and they were killing everybody. But the reason why they did that is after Alaric served in the Roman army and everything, all they wanted was some land for their people to settle on, and the Romans were like, no, we ain't gonna let you do it. And they were even trading those people dog meat in exchange for children put into slavery. So, I mean, they're like, hell no, we ain't doing this no more. That's why they put Rome under siege. But getting back to it, though, later, Constantine the Great, he decided, well, hey, we're going to have Christianity as the state religion, okay? And there you go. It started up where, if you wanted to be like a king or something like that in Europe, you got to get the Roman Catholic Church's blessing about it, right? Because God said that it's divine right for you to be the king. So that's how that happened. Oh God, I could really go into the minutia on this, but later on, got all these people coming over to this land, and then they couldn't find enough labor, so they started enslaving black people from Africa and bringing them over here, kidnapping them is what I call it, and enslaving them. So they had to have some kind of control on all these people, and it was religion. That's how they did it. You, back in the feudal era, you were required to go to church, and the church even they were the ones who made sure everyone paid their taxes and junk. See, karaoke. they made sure that everybody stayed in line, because people were afraid they were going to go to hell and burn forever and ever, right? But my people never believed that, way back in ancient times. That was pushed on them by the Romans and anybody else that could push it on them. Then they brought it over here, and it kind of got warped. All that Christianity, it kind of got warped into something called evangelical Christianity. And that's a whole lot different than a lot of other folks, because, there's a lot of Christians out there that don't give a hoot about trying to force anybody to prepare for the rapture and all. Dig it? They could care less. Maybe they want people to do that, but they're not going to go out there and like get on a stump and preach in your face all day long and tell you. Somebody down in Alabama told me once that it's okay to kill people who aren't Christians, and that if you ain't a Christian, that's why. If you ain't, you're going to burn in hell forever. All that. I'm like, God damn, bro. Anyway, you have to get away from all that stuff. My ancestors were Celtic Picts. I don't know what your ancestors were. Maybe your ancestors were Celtic too. Maybe way back before Christianity ever invaded Europe, maybe your ancestors were Celtic Spaniards, or maybe they were Gothic people or something, or maybe your ancestors were Zulus, whatever, anything. It's kind of harder for black people to trace their ancestry back because they really erased the fuck out of that whenever they kidnapped them. It's a little easier for people like me to do that, not white, because that's an invented freaking term. All right, I'm not a white person. If you do a genetic test on me, it doesn't come up boop white. No, it comes up like up there in Scotland and a little bit in England and a little bit around in France, stuff like that. So I claim being picked. All right. So don't believe in all that stuff. Use what's white. I'll tell you what white is. White is a term invented for people like me about 400 years ago when they first started enslaving black people and bringing them over here. Because, see, all those white people that were here, they were mainly like indigents and stuff that were rounded up off the streets of Glasgow and London and brought here forcibly. They had a choice. Come to the United States, or it wasn't the United States back then. Come to the Americas, be a settler, indentured servant, or go to prison because vagrancy was against the law, right? It was a crime. So what do? No, you ain't going to prison. I'll go over to this scary place, this Americas where it's so scary, where there's monsters and everything, because it would be better even than going to prison over there. So they had to have a way to make all these poor so-called white people think that they're a little bit better than the black people. So they made this division: white people, black people. White people, it's okay to make them into an indentured servant, treat them like crap, don't pay them good enough, all that. But you can't make them slaves. The black people, you do whatever the hell you wanted to with them. You could kill them, you could rape them, whatever. They weren't persons, they were property. So they made that division right there: black people, white people. It's an invented term. That's what white is. That's why I don't call myself a white person, because it's friggin' invented. A bunch of slavers and a bunch of people money grubbers who wanted to make sure that they had a ready supply of labor. They made those terms up. You got to keep them separated, right? Divide and conquer. That's what they do. They use that term to divide up a bunch of poor people, a bunch of poor white people, and a bunch of enslaved black people. If those poor, dumb, or oh, I'm sorry, not dumb, ignorant, okay? Those ignorant white people back then, so called white people, would have known any better, they'd have said, screw this, because there were people going around saying, well, I might be poor, but at least I ain't a slave. Get the hell out of here. Well, they should have like joined up forces and made all those money grubbers know what it's all about. Dig it? But no, they for thousands of years that was the situation, and everybody more or less accepted as well. That's just the way it is, right? But we're not like in the 14th century and stuff no more. We're in the 21st century, okay? So you got to abandon all those old ways. Be a Christian if you want to, but don't be a Christian just because everybody else is or because you're going to get some money over it, especially because of that. Because, even though I ain't a Christian, there's some things in the Bible that I think make sense. And one of the things about that 666, they're talking about rapture and all that junk, right? That 666. It's in your hand or it's in your forehead. Okay, the 666. You got people like that today. All right, the 666 in the hand. That's the people who like act like they believe in everything, but they don't really believe in their heart. They don't believe none of it, but they say they do because that's the only way they feel like they can function in society. That's the only way that they can trade and make a living is by being in that group. So they got the mark of the beast in their hand, right? And the ones with the mark of the beast, the 666 in the forehead, what that means is they are the true believers. They believe all of it. They believe they're really going to get raptured, even though that ain't even in the Bible or anything, right? They believe that all is literal truth. Like for instance, they believe that if you destroy the dome on the rock and rebuild the temple, they call it the third temple, that's will trigger Jesus's return, the apocalypse, and everything. And they actively work for that, and that's why That's a lot of the reasons why you have the trouble in the Middle East right now, like with those warships that we have off the coast of Iran, us getting ready to get into another Middle East conflict because our government is owned by the Israeli government. You understand what I'm saying? Oh no, don't criticize Israel. They're God's chosen people. Do you understand what I'm telling you? Don't don't buy into that. Don't buy into the programming. You got to break the programming. All right. So I don't know. Maybe that's a little disjointed, or it's a lot. I like writing stuff down a whole lot more. I write a lot, and here I'll show you something. I've been collecting up my writings and putting them in a document so people, if they wish to read them, they can. And here I'll put the there. I'll put the URL on there. That way you can go to it. And I'll even later on I put it in the description. Okay, see here? That's the URL that you can go to. Let's see. Yeah, there it is in the whole screen. All right. See? So that's what I'm making. I'm right now. It's like it's a lot right now. But I got a lot more to add. I ain't done yet. There's 186 pages. So if you want to go over there and check it out, I would like that because You know, I do a lot of work, even though I'm retired and everything. I do a lot of work on the stuff that means something to me. And this means a lot to me. But anyway, that's what I have for you this Sunday. What do we got here? 20 minutes. Hey, how about that? We're in here whole 20 minutes. Thanks for showing up, and you guys have a great Sunday. And don't take any wooden nickels. Your favorite, what is it? Your favorite discovery? You're asking me, oh, wait a minute. Add a QA sticker, your favorite discovery. Let's see. Okay, I'll try it. Wait a minute. It disappeared. Oh, well. See you later, guys. Bye bye. Press that button.